5,700? That's only a year in a year.
September 1st
It's only a year.
September 1st is Ginger Cat Appreciation Day.
Oh, yeah?
We have a lot to talk about.
Here we are, Abe Cast Iron Balls, a podcast about sports and knowing things absolutely about sports. My name is Bob, sitting across the way from my good friend and co-host. That's Abe. How you doing tonight, Abe?
Doing well, Bob.
Yeah, here we are. Lori's here too. How you doing tonight, Lori?
I am good.
Lori is good. Tonight is Monday, September the 1st, 2025. Labor Day 2025. Abe busied himself on this Labor Day by going around to local establishments that were open and gainfully employing folks and wishing them all with a shit-eating grin on his face the happiest of Labor Days. Isn't that right, Abe?
It was by mistake. It just kind of slipped by me. I was at this man's warehouse for some tuxedo thing for a wedding.
Human warehouse.
Men's
where they make
warehouse
the humans.
on Labor Day.
That's what they call it.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's just their clothes.
And, after the business was sorted out, I was like, hey, you guys enjoy your Labor Day. And as I was walking away, I was like, oh, man.
Oh, that probably seemed shitty.
That's right. It wasn't intended that way. But, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad someone's out there working.
How's the tux fit? Is it looking sharp?
No, they did some measurements, and then there was some link. I was like, hey, this is what the groom wanted, and it's going to be ready in 10 days, So we'll see.
Is this a
So
tuxedo
you didn't
renting?
you didn't try it on at all. They just measured you,
Yeah, they
and
just
they're going
measured
to
it,
build
yeah.
the tuxedo for you.
I don't-
renting a tuxedo or buying one?
I have no idea as to the economy of the tuxedo industry because, it actually is about the same cost to rent, and so I'm like, I might as well just buy it in case something else comes up down the pike.
Yes.
So I did not rent it.
Like what? Like your death? What are you going to use a fucking tuxedo
Another
for?
wedding.
What if
No,
someone
the
else gets
reason
married? You know these people, and they're...
Who among your friends, besides the one,
My
is
God,
going
Abe,
to
is this
is
how
going to
you
have
tell us you're getting married?
a black tie second wedding? That's not happening.
There's a better than 0% chance. It's close to zero, but it's better than.
All right.
I wonder what percentage of rented tuxedos are specifically for proms. Because I bet it's a lot.
Yeah, it's got to be a lot.
Because those boys are still growing. Speaking of which, football.
I mean, I'm interested in the tuxedo. Is this so? It's not like ostentatious or
No, it's a very
there's nothing weird
basic,
about it.
yeah.
This is one that you can, in fact, repurpose.
Yes. It's a pretty straightforward black tux.
I guess you're pretty committed to your current size, more or less,
Yes,
too, right? Like
yes.
you can't let things fade too much in either direction
That's
once
right.
you make that tux purchase.
That is true. I'm always within striking distance of where I am. So, I think I'm good. If I needed to turn things around, if things went sideways.
Oh, good. All right. It's time for Abe Live Bets the Games, in which Abe live bets the games that are happening right now. Tonight is Monday night. It's a perfect night because there's one more college football game to go. It is Texas.
One to go, one to go, one to go, one to go.
Texas Christian University in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, going up against the Tar Heels tonight at 8 o'clock as we get going here. Abe, you chose this game in our CIB 2025 Pick'em contest.
That's right.
You have still that to go at the moment. Let's go ahead and we might as well update that now. It was a rough sledding for everybody here.
I'll tell you.
Cousin Steve, Ofer.
Wow.
Lori, you got 2 correct with 1 to go in this TCU game.
How do I find it?
I got 2 correct with 1 to go with none to go. So I'm maxed out. I've got 10 points. Lori currently has 10 points. Abe currently has 10 points because he got 1 right, but it was the dog in LSU.
Yes.
I'm sure we'll talk about that game shortly.
The true tiger.
With 1 to go. TCU. You chose TCU in your live bets or in your 2025 Pick'em. Anything putting you on the other side of that at the moment?
No.
What
I'm
are we going
staying
with
the
tonight?
course. Texas Christian.
Even Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter even blew it. Yeah, Jimmy
Oh.
had Alabama.
I got something
minus
for
the
him
points.
later. Yes.
Should we also update the quarterback fantasy, or do we not
We'll
care?
do that in a minute. I want to make sure that I
Okay.
get, because Abe has already cost me money in Abe live bets the games because he blew it. Last week he live bet the Tigers,
yeah.
over the Athletics, and that did not work out. It was like a 7-0 game or something.
Another missed opportunity on my part.
And am I just going money line here, or am I going to?
I mean, they're the favorites, right?
Yeah, minus 3.5.
Yeah, 3.5. Come on.
All right, so minus 3.5. We'll make this a $5 bet just to make things interesting.
So interesting.
And there we go.
We played competitively, but then just couldn't sustain it. So obviously we have a lot of work to do. We need to do a better job all the way around, coaching, playing, all three phases of the game. Just wasn't up to what it needs to be, and I know we're a lot better than that. So we'll need to work on those things and show it on Saturday on a quick turnaround. But give TCU credit; they came in and did a good job, and they were clearly the better team tonight. They deserved to win, and they did it decisively.
All right. Speaking of, and this will feed right into our broader conversation about the weekend's action. A tough day
Yes.
in the gambling app for me, as evidenced by my not great day in the 2025 Pick'em contest. Didn't make a single dollar.
Did
betting
you-
on games?
Were a lot of your bets tied to that Texas game?
Yeah, I had Texas. Who really hurt me was Alabama.
Yeah.
Quite frankly,
Alabama's hurt me before too, but they didn't this time.
Alabama hurt me in the balance portion of my gambling app. Not so much emotionally. Emotionally, it was fairly satisfying.
Oh, yeah.
Being honest, it was a
It's one of the
small
best things that
small
can
price
happen.
to pay is a little bit of gambling losses
Right.
for what happened to Alabama this weekend.
Remarkable how it started, because Alabama had like a nice, 17-play drive. It lasted forever. They scored a touchdown, and you're thinking, okay, things are going along well, and then just the bottom falls off.
I have nothing against Alabama fans or any of the coaches or like the program, but there might be nothing that makes me happier than when they lose.
Even
It's
that
amazing.
that obnoxious fan who was flipping off the camera.
I don't. Well, but that guy just it's not as a group.
Yeah.
I just love it so much. I know maybe it'll get old,
Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah.
but it hasn't.
So to me, it's less satisfying now watching Alabama lose. And I mean, it must be said, they didn't just lose; they
They
looked
lost to Florida State.
right, and they didn't look good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, there was a drive. They looked competent at times, but for the most part, they were dominated, right? Like that Florida State offense moved the ball with great efficiency through multiple drives and made the Alabama defense look entirely pedestrian.
Yeah.
And that's a BC transfer,
Right.
Castellanos. Right?
Yeah.
What's frustrating about Alabama is when they have games like this, it's like, how come they never play like this against Georgia? They always seem to
Well, that's coaching.
because they're not going to play like this at the end of this month when Georgia plays them. I don't know what they were doing.
No.
They were just kind of lost. They were just kind of very.
Well, that's the so-called ball knowers on my Twitter. All of them pointed at the defense looked slow and without effort.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I don't know. I take their word for it, I guess. But it's like they were just not up for Florida State. They'll be up for us.
So that was my main takeaway from that game. And really, I think the lesson to be learned about week one, and really this is something that can be said about college football writ large, but especially week one, which is never forget, especially when you don't know anything, which coming into week one, we really didn't know anything.
No one knows anything.
You sort of know Ohio State's probably going to be good because they won the national title, and it's Ohio State. You sort of know, presumably Georgia is going to look pretty good because it's you know some things, but you don't know the specifics
You
of
don't
these
know.
teams because they don't even know yet, right? Like they have to get confirmation of you watched Marcus Freeman last night when the Notre Dame quarterback had a big time moment, and they go
Angeli.
over. they go over to Marcus Freeman, and somebody on the sideline was like, the sideline reporter said, I overheard Marcus Freeman saying to one of his assistant coaches, see, I knew it. Like we chose wisely, effectively, was the message he was saying. Because as of an hour ago, he didn't know if he had chosen wisely when it came to the starting quarterback, whether to go with this kid.
Are you talking about Riley Leonard?
No, I'm talking about the successor to...
Oh, my God, someone besides Riley Leonard? What about
Leonard.
Riley Leonard? Where's Riley Leonard?
Lori is suggesting that she's annoyed by how often they mention last year's players. Yeah. And I agree. It was over the top. The announcing crew...
It was egregious last night.
...kept bringing up Riley Leonard anytime they would run the ball with the quarterback. It would be like, oh, shades of Riley Leonard.
Or anytime they didn't. If they did and it wouldn't work, it was, oh, if Riley Leonard were here. Like, shut the fuck up.
By the way,
he was there for 1 year.
Yeah, he's
right? He was not a fifth-year senior who started 60 games for Notre Dame.
It should be also noted that he's third string to Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis, so it's easy does it. They're so used to those players, like this is just the beginning, so they just know their names.
I guess they just, they know but that's lazy. And when they do it when someone's injured, that's different.
Yes.
Like or suspended or something.
Right.
But like I say this every year. This is just how it goes. You say every year, Bob, and you're like catching yourself on it and not doing it this year. You always start a football season and say, nobody's any good.
It is an easy thing to say that nobody's any good, especially here in week 1. And I actually think it remains the case that, and will be more so the case moving forward, that it's easy to say no one is any good because these teams, like the team that Georgia played is a good example. 40 players left Marshall last year at the end of the year when they had their kerfuffle with the AD and the coach weren't getting along, and so the coach took off before the bowl game, and they had to try to replace 40 players, and they weren't able to participate in the bowl game, is how much that coach fucked over that program last year. And so they had to bring in, I think it's something like 60-something new kids who weren't on that at school last year, tried to play against Georgia, and the results kind of spoke for themselves, I think, on Saturday. But there will be more of that. The teams they don't cohere from year to year. It's hard to build a program in the way that you have in the past. The thought coming in was, but Clemson, right? Like Clemson, maybe Yabo Dabo is going to have figured out something along those lines. This is a much hyped team with a much hyped quarterback. Much of those kids are back, and he finally started dipping into a little bit, right? Didn't he bring in a couple of kids this year?
Yeah, but he's still kind of mostly not.
But then they lose, right? Because it's hard to win football games. But the thing that I was getting at about the thing to keep in mind as you come into any new season is that especially when you don't know stuff, which again we don't know very much because we know even less than usual with all of the transfers that go on, is the attitude in the locker room, the want to, the fear of losing is the thing that almost matters more than anything else. Right. And look at the example of Miami and Notre Dame, or look at the example of FSU and Alabama for proof of that. I think Alabama came in. If you had to sum up the attitude of Alabama coming into this year is, we're a little bit butt clenched, right? They're sort of squeezing a little bit. The butts are clenching because they don't know exactly who they are. They don't know exactly what they have with Kalen DeBoer. Right. They don't know what this identity is, even in year 2 under this program. And sure, they don't want to lose, but it's more of a are we still who we always thought that we were, or are we not so sure? Whereas FSU is coming in with absolutely nothing to lose. They went 2-10 last year. They were a complete fucking dumpster fire, and they come in they're allowed to play with their pants on fire. Right. They light their hair on fire, and they see what happens. And for as much as Vegas is really good at figuring out these lines, right? The Georgia line was 39.5, and the Dogs didn't cover because of a late touchdown. It ended up right at whatever it was, 38, I suppose.
Penn State didn't also cover either.
Penn State also failed to cover, but it was close. And you look at those games, and you're like, how How do they know?
Right.
Because it's just very advanced math, right?
Right.
They're just feeding all sorts of variables into their statistical models and their algos, and like outspits the number, and then they maybe put a little bit of magic on it, or they put a little spit on it, a juju on it. If like it's Alabama, and we know that we're going to get a certain amount of action on Alabama anyway,
Right.
so we juice the number in this way or in the other direction. But like you look at that. Alabama was a 13.5-point favorite in Vegas based on all of the
On the
statistical
road.
analyses.
Right,
And they just get absolutely destroyed by Florida State. And I think it's absolutely just a question of attitude. It's just
because
what team came in with what sort of an attitude.
Well, because they didn't take into account the story, which obviously is my favorite thing about college football. The story is there are some kids on that Florida State team who should have been in the playoff 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And there are some kids on the Alabama team who were, but didn't consider how much those Florida State kids hate them.
Right.
It is a
Like they it was easy to forget, but they totally forgot, and that's what happened.
What a bizarre couple of years for Florida State. You go undefeated, your quarterback gets hurt, you get kicked out of the playoffs, then you get just throttled by
For
Georgia.
Alabama,
right?
It wasn't like
Yeah.
they got kicked out
Right.
and nothing.
Yeah,
It was,
yeah.
Oh,
And-
let's
yeah.
put Alabama in
Right,
instead.
and then you get destroyed in a bowl game against Georgia. Then you go to Ireland, get your ass kicked there. You win 2 games last year, just a disaster. And then obviously, so it makes sense why the line is what it was, and like not a lot of people thought that they had a chance. But like, what a turnaround! I mean, it's remarkable that they played as well. Again, it wasn't like a close game. They beat them pretty comfortably.
Right. But also, I think part of the thing sort of determining this based on like locker room vibes, which is basically all I'm saying here, is Florida State circled that game against Alabama all summer and said, that's our fucking Super Bowl.
Right.
Well,
Whereas
2 years ago they circled it.
Whereas Alabama has to look at this game and be like, it almost doesn't matter
Right.
what happens in this game.
Right.
We've got half a dozen other games in the SEC that are going to matter more.
Right.
And so, like, we just shouldn't be terribly surprised. And it's easy to say in retrospect,
Right.
obviously, that you shouldn't be so surprised.
And you know, last week I was mentioning, Jimmy Carter had no problem picking this game, but everybody else kind of just stayed away. And I was thinking maybe just you don't know if they were going to cover or not, but there wasn't much question as to whether or not Alabama was going to win. It just like 13.5, is that too much? But like, turns out it was just not close.
It's a little bit too much.
And then when you think back on, except for a couple of those late Saban years when he had, like,
USF was messy.
no,
both
but like
times.
I'm talking in terms of Alabama quarterback play. Like, you don't look at A.J. McCarron and think, oh man, what a quarterback
No, he
Alabama
was just a
had
guy.
during the A.J. McCarron years, where that goober Greg McElroy, who's on television now every weekend annoying us.
Right.
Like they got some decent quarterback play out of Tua.
Mac. Something.
Mac Jones, right?
Yep.
Not a great college quarterback,
But
perfectly
plays in the
serviceable.
NFL.
But the point that I'm getting at here is, like, their guy, Ty, whatever his name is,
Simpson?
Ty Simpson, not going to be like a Heisman candidate kind of quarterback.
Right.
Unlike, sure, Bryce Young was good, Tua Tagovailoa was good, but like traditionally, they're not winning football games over the last 15 years because of awesome quarterback play. But if they're not getting it from their defense, if their defense
Yeah.
looks entirely pedestrian, like, what is the identity of, like, what do they build on for the rest of the season? Or is it just, look, Alabama's going to lose 3 or 4 games every year again now,
Right.
because the mystique, in partly just because the mystique is gone. Like,
Well, and because things are different. Like we talked about it last year. That's why Saban left.
Right.
Is because you can't win all the games anymore.
Did Saban leave because he recognized that he simply wasn't going to be able to adjust
want
to
to.
the new era,
Right.
or didn't want to bother trying to relearn how to do this job?
Great timing for him. What happened with the Ohio State transfer? He was at Alabama. He was like a 5-star recruit for Alabama, and he didn't really play. And then now he's playing for Ohio State. Like I forgot.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what happened there, but like I wonder why they weren't able to keep him on the roster.
I mean, anytime you're a 5-star and you didn't start that year, I think
They
a
move
lot
so
of these
much.
kids think, I'm coming into this school, I'm a 5-star. Yeah, there's people ahead of me on the depth chart, but like, if I get my chance, I'm going to prove out. And
That's
then
probably
when
what the recruits are telling them too, right? They're like, you come here,
Oh, of
you're,
course.
right? So they're believing what the coaching staff is telling them,
Right. Well, it's the classic thing, like in the classic film, The Program. Omar Epps' character, Halle Berry, is there to show him around when he's a recruit. But then when his bus comes in for him to start two-a-days during the summer
Where
practices,
are the honeys?
No honeys are greeting him as he's getting off the bus. Now he's just freshman meat. Anyway, speaking of that Ohio State and Texas game, which of course was the big noon kickoff there, and actually let's back up a few minutes because it was also Lee Corso send-off day.
Send-off.
This send-off weekend on Saturday, and it was too much. I think is my reaction. It was too much Lee Corso, because this is a man who simply is too old to be doing this, and I know that that's sad, and I know that because he's been doing this for so long and he's an institution of the sport, they wanted to afford him that level of respect, but. Sorry, the man has had one too many strokes, and he can't form sentences properly, and it's hard to understand him when he talks, and it just makes me feel bad to look at him attempt to perform this thing that he is no longer capable of performing.
Yeah.
And it's just a bummer. And like I know you have to humor Grandpa or what have you, but like they should have found another way to do it, and maybe it was they needed more of the Joe Biden technique, where if you put together a 2-minute video, but it's like 47 cuts, and at no point are you seeing him talk for more than a second and a half in a row, right?
Hard to
And
do
it's
with
all-
live television, but yeah, that would have been nice if they were.
Right, but like, don't let him do live television.
Okay,
then.
so it should be noted that your criticism is valid, because yeah, I mean, every time they cut to him, it's like, oh man, this is gonna be a rough 30 seconds, because it's not even like they're giving him that much time. It's just like say something, and then he'll kind of struggle through it.
There were a couple of times where they did not have him. They did not go to him on purpose.
Yeah.
He just decided, sitting there in his 90-year-old body, I'm going to read this note card now, right? And like it was out of note. Like there's a lull in the conversation, and all of a sudden, Corso's going, and Kirk has to be like trying to grab the wheel.
Right.
As Grandpa has tried to steer the ship in the wrong direction here.
Right.
It's very uncomfortable.
So history will not note the uncomfortable parts of it. What they will remember in retrospect is that Lee Corso, every school he coached,
Every pick.
every school he picked that weekend won. It's remarkable that everything he picked on Saturday and every team he coached for won this
And played
weekend.
at.
And play, yeah. It's a remarkable achievement. So, like, I think when people think of
Specifically, and most surprisingly, the only one to pick FSU
yeah, he
as
picks
they were going through
FSU.
their
He
picks.
He picks Ohio State. Yeah, I mean he's making all of the picks, and they're all correct. And then at the end, like that last segment going into the Big Noon kickoff. Big Noon is a Fox thing, right? This game was not on ESPN, but ESPN commandeered the field for
Right.
right. I mean, basically, it was like the public address system.
By the way,
Yeah.
I am not, by nature, an event planner.
Yeah.
Like, I do not think in terms of these big, broad public spectacles. Generally speaking, this is not my area of expertise. However, when he's in the tuxedo, right, he looks sharp,
Yeah.
right? He looks.
I wonder. Do you think he went to a Men's Warehouse?
Probably not.
I'm sure he bought it though, because he'll be strapping that on.
He's not strapping it on.
Is that bad
Someone
luck
else
to
is.
wear it when you die? Not that luck matters then.
Yeah. Anyway, they had an opportunity to do something really spectacular.
What would-
because
yeah.
it didn't occur to me until the last minute. And essentially it was a moment of great letdown, relatively speaking. Because like you're waiting for the final pick, and yeah, he's old. It's hard for him to do these big grand gestures anymore. But you sort of got the feeling, he's gonna pick Ohio State.
yeah.
It was the first pick he ever made.
Yeah.
This is not a moment for him to revel in being the troll. This is the moment for him to bask in the adoration of 100,000 people
Right.
in the stadium
Yeah.
there, and that's all fine. But when I saw that they were on the field, and when I
The band
saw
was on the field.
that the marching band was on the field,
Yeah.
and now I know dotting the I in Script Ohio happens during halftime, right? Like it's part of the halftime festivities. But you have the whole band there on the field. And you know that Corso, in his tuxedo, is going to put on the Brutus head.
Right.
Have him dot the I in Script, Ohio, and then pull on the headgear. Right? Like, and all you have to do is put him on a hand cart and get his ass to the eye in Script, Ohio, right? And it would have been this amazing moment.
A golf cart. You could just put him on a golf cart.
It would have been this big, amazing spectacle, and the crowd would have fucking lost it. And instead,
I cried thinking about it.
Right. Because I said this to Lori. I said, oh my God, they're going to have him dot the I in Script, Ohio.
Got a real soft spot for marching bands.
And when I said it, I got chills. I don't even fucking care about this.
Yeah.
But
like, fuck Ohio State.
I could see it happening and knowing it was going to be this big, amazing thing. And instead, he's just sitting there at the desk and he puts the head on and everybody's applauding. And like they do that stupid thing where like the people who are live in the stadium, whenever they turn the microphones on for the people who are sitting there, and now 100,000 people have to listen to it, and you have that here.
I feel like that happens most in baseball.
Right, it happens in baseball all the time. But like, just don't do it.
Right.
It doesn't fucking work. It's not worth it. But if instead you can
Stay
get around
home
that,
so you can hear the game stuff.
Right.
Don't go to the games.
You don't need to have Reese Davis talking to the people gathered there. You don't need to have Kirk Herbstreit talking to the gathered masses, and you certainly don't need to have 90-year-old Lee Corso trying to talk to 100,000 people on a microphone that doesn't fucking work and has that stupid delay effect. Because what you can do instead is have him walk out to the I in Script, Ohio, and dot it and pull on the head. No audio issues necessary. The crowd loses their fucking mind. And that would have been the way to go. That is my one production note to the idiots at ESPN. Come on, this was easy.
I can't prove this, but I'm pretty certain that this was probably a consideration. And over the course of 3 hours, Lee Corso did not inspire the confidence needed to execute this plan. They're like, let's just get out of this. Like, let's just. I bet you they had like.
So you think that there was something more, and they had to audible to just have him sit at the desk?
I think it's like an RPO kind of thing where like if things are looking great, we're gonna do the dotting on the I, and then if Old Ben doesn't have it, like if it looks like he's kind of like losing it, let's just do the safe thing. And then like maybe like probably like 30 minutes in, you're like, okay, the safe thing it is, because like it's not like he.
I don't know. You walk him out there. You've got the cardboard box
just
there.
Get a golf cart.
Not sure what's in the box.
Timing is of the essence because they don't have rights to the game, right? So all you're seeing is you're watching the end of the ESPN coverage, and then you have to flip over. So like you got to be able to do it at a specific time. But that would have been amazing if they were able to do it. He should have retired 5 years ago when he could have done it.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, I agree. That is the lesson here is know when to fold them, right? Know when to get off the stage here. Yeah, but then, on to the game, which was a perfectly entertaining game. I would say that the thing that you heard over and over again this weekend, defenses are always ahead of offenses early in the season. The offenses haven't quite figured stuff out, and that was certainly appeared to be the case in Columbus. The Ohio State and Texas defense both looked pretty solid. That game ends up, what was the final score? 14-7, something like that?
Yeah, 14-7.
14-7.
Down to the final play, sort of.
Down to the final play. By the way, quick update. North Carolina up a touchdown already, 4 minutes into this game. What do we think about Arch and the Texas offense performance on Saturday? Is Arch bad, actually? Are we in?
No.
Is all of the hype about Arch overblown, or what's the story?
I think going on the road to play a pretty good team was a challenge. Maybe people just got carried away with the Heisman talk, but I am. This was one of the games that I went out, in the city to watch, like at a sports bar, and talking to these people next to me, these strangers, and I'm telling them about how this guy, he could be an Eli or a Peyton, right? And as he was starting to suck, I was like, oh boy,
these are strangers.
And to John Q, to John Q Public, they're thinking, you mean like an all-time great, or a pretty serviceable NFL quarterback who lucked into 2 Super Bowls.
Apparently,
they have in your head.
Yeah.
You have those backwards to them.
apparently the general public does not know Peyton Manning very well, and so the references that I'm making to them is lost on them. And I'm like, oh, this guy has the Peyton Manning like choking trait. You know, you can kind of sense it. I know these are early days; it's only week 1, and blah blah blah. But he looked like Peyton. Like that, it just kind of had that. It just reminded me of Peyton from years ago.
Terribly inaccurate. Could not hit his receivers. Was overthrowing them. Was underthrowing them. Was completely missing them. I do think that this is a function of going up against an elite defense, one that he won't have to deal with
Yes.
very much for the rest of the season, except for when he comes to play the Dogs. There was all this talk about the Ohio State defensive coordinator, who's a former NFL guy,
Patricia.
Matt Patricia, and like the way that they're disguising their coverages, where they're showing one thing pre-snap and then immediately like sprinting into a different coverage.
Right.
So Manning had no idea what was coming. Apparently, that's the same exact thing that we did against Texas last year, which made Quinn Ewers and Manning's days particularly difficult. So against advanced schemes, apparently Manning isn't quite ready for that, which makes sense. He hasn't played a lot of college football
Right.
to this point.
Right.
I still think that obviously he has all of the tools necessary to be a good college quarterback, but maybe the Texas is number one and the prohibitive favorite to win the national title stuff was getting out over our skis a bit. Ohio State looked perfectly fine. And again, has some solid wide receivers. The quarterback looks perfectly serviceable, and the defense obviously looked great. But I think that the main lesson to learn from that game is that those are two very good teams with a couple of very good defenses, and we probably don't know exactly what either of them truly has in terms of an offense just yet.
Right. You know, I went to the watch party on Friday. This Georgia Tech, these fans are very excited about this Haynes King, and I guess they should be rightfully.
They should be.
He's a great player. There was a talk of getting tickets to the upcoming Clemson Georgia Tech game in about a week and a half or 2 weeks. I'm gonna get tickets, but I was waiting for the Clemson game to sort itself out before jumping on it because prices were
Smart.
a bit high. Yeah.
Yeah, Clemson losing should knock those prices down
Yeah,
a bit.
because it was like I'm not paying almost $200 for this stupid fucking ACC bullshit, and so thankfully it's come down a bit. But yeah, the fans, as soon as they became aware of my allegiance to Georgia, they were being little dicks for a bit. But
They're so mean. That's like their whole ethos is to hell with Georgia.
Yeah.
It's like we will see you in late November, buddy.
Yeah. But you know what's funny about
Be
fans?
nice.
When they opened with that, and I'm like, Georgia Tech's not so bad. And they're like, oh, yeah, it's fine. And then just kind of moved on. Basically, it's kind of this, like, reflexive dickishness that just goes away immediately.
But,
when
like,
you tell them,
that sucks as a way to be.
Right, yeah.
All right, Colorado didn't look great. Georgia Tech looked pretty good. This would have been more satisfying last year, probably.
Yeah.
Than this year in terms of shutting down some silly Colorado hype or what have you.
That's right.
But still a good win for Georgia Tech to go all the way out there and win one on the road. Other games worth noting, Tennessee handled Syracuse. That game got out of hand, but it was kind of interesting
a lot of
for a
points
little
for
while.
Syracuse. I didn't watch the game. I just was kind of keeping an eye on the scoreboard, but it was like 30-something, 20-something for a bit until Tennessee pulled away.
Syracuse had a couple of different moments in that game where, like, okay, if we can just put together a drive here and get a score,
Right.
we're really going to be in this thing. And then they'd do something stupid and then turn the ball over, and Tennessee would go back up 2 scores. And it was annoying.
Great weekend for Tennessee fans, though, right? You have Tennessee winning. You have that bum who was holding out for more money at UCLA getting destroyed by Nevada or some random team. Alabama losing. Just like I'm sure like Tennessee fans were happy this weekend.
Utah.
Okay, yeah, one of those teams. But it wasn't like a close game. I mean, that Nico, whatever. I don't know what money he was
not at all.
holding out for, but like he looked pretty pedestrian.
Haynes King, the people are like, oh, that guy's so tough. Yeah. What if he's not? What if he's limping around because he's a little bitch? And he's not like it hurts a little, but it's just, and we're like, oh, look at that guy working through so much pain.
Right.
It's like, is he? Do we know that, or is he just very dramatic? I'm not saying he is.
Right.
I'm just saying it's a possibility that he's a little baby.
There was a running back. I think it was Jim Brown. It was somebody who like always gave the appearance of being hurt to disguise when he was actually hurt. Because like, oh, he looks the same. He always looks like he's kind of like hobbling around. So you don't actually know when he's actually hurt versus when he's not. So maybe this Haynes King guy is doing something similar.
It's just I don't like everyone's like, oh, he's so tough. Yeah. Like we don't know.
It's true. We need to get a precise readout of Haynes King's pain tolerance thresholds, objectively speaking, before
it's just
we can.
That I know my son is.
I was going to say this is all about how Calvin is such a wuss, and like he doesn't like he won't touch the toast because it's too hot. It's like no, that's just warm to the touch. It's not hot. You idiot.
Imagine that was part of the like combine like evaluation. If there was like some measurement of like, oh, this person has all the measurements, just all the tangibles, but he is not very strong when it comes to any sort of pain. Like he's not going to be good for that.
All right, Georgia looked fairly thoroughly dominant against Marshall. They did that thing where they had like 3 very good possessions to start the game, and then a couple of stupid possessions, like frustrating offensive possessions there for a little while, and then they give up that late touchdown after all of the starters had been pulled, and there was just a bunch of freshmen out there. And
I think the starters and also the second.
Yeah, it was the third and fourth stringers out there, I think, who gave up the touchdown. But an encouraging start, nevertheless. Yeah. It's hard to say that you can learn anything from a game against.
We learned Zachariah Branch is good.
Marshall.
The first 2 weeks will be that, right? Like we won't really know much about Georgia for a few weeks. For a couple of weeks.
Yeah, because we have Austin Peay next. It's a funny schedule this year for the Dogs where they play 3 of the worst teams in football, right? Like they have three of the easiest games on any one schedule. Marshall, Austin Peay, and I forget the third one.
I don't know.
But then you also have Ole Miss, Alabama, Texas, Tennessee, Florida.
Charlotte.
Right? Like,
Georgia plays Charlotte.
Charlotte. Yeah, Charlotte's one of the worst teams in football.
The one that their logo looks like that Flying J gas station.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. I mean, that sandwich between the Texas game and the Georgia Tech game, so just like, have an easy game.
Yeah,
in
Georgia
between.
Tech's good.
Yeah.
So,
I will say, though, the defense looked awesome, even if it is against Marshall. It is encouraging to see
fire, passion, energy.
Composure and physicality out there.
No, we're done with composure and physicality. We had too much of that. We need fire, passion, and energy now.
On offense, though, it was composure and physicality. But yeah, sure, pants on fire for the defense. Plenty of pressure on in their backfield, which is always good to see. It looks like we might have a couple of defensive ends once again who can wreak havoc on opposing quarterbacks and running backs in the backfield. And Gunnar Stockton looked perfectly serviceable as a quarterback, which is all you really need from Gunnar Stockman, who I've decided he's got to have nicknames. I think I'm going Grunter Stockman is where I've landed up to this point because he looks like a caveman. PBR is another one. Prominent Brow Ridge is a good nickname for this guy. There are any.
Is it too mean to call him Goober Stockton?
Goober
He's
doesn't.
not really a goober.
He doesn't. I mean, he's a.
Jake Fromm was more of a goober.
Oh, yeah, was.
Aaron Murray was a goober.
I like Grunter Stockton a lot.
Okay.
I think.
Do we want to talk about how Abe is kicking our butts in the quarterback thing, and then move along to the next podcast?
Early days.
Sure.
Speaking of Georgia quarterbacks, what's his face down in Miami played decent. I mean, he had a couple of throws that should have been picks, but like other than that, he played pretty well.
Carson Beck is, I loved watching him play quarterback because he looks like a quarterback who knows what the hell he's doing. Like he's very good at the thing that the quarterback needs to be good at, which is he reads the defense before the snap and then goes through his progressions and finds the open man. And that sounds silly, when you just say that, like, that's the job of the quarterback. What do you mean? That's what you like about him. But, like, how many college quarterbacks can actually do that consistently? And, like, he stands there in the pocket as long as he needs to. He also is smart and knows, like, he has a feel for pocket collapse and when to get the fuck on with it. He doesn't often get happy feet for no good reason, right? Like, he looks composed back there, and he looks like he knows what he's doing. And he had a couple of not great throws early in that game where he's short-arming it a little bit and still trying to sort of get a feel for things. But he throws a great long ball, and sure, that one that was like catch of the year material here in week 1, where the guy goes, full extension, makes a one-handed grab in the rain to take it out of the hands, basically, of the leaping safety, who was definitely going to make that pick right there on the goal line if the ball wasn't caught. But, like, he put the ball where the guy could catch it, right? Like, sure, you can make an argument that if that guy had not made a spectacular play, then the other guy would have caught it. But, like, he put it where only his dude could make a play on it, and his dude made a play on it. Right. And what a spectacular moment there. And it's just fun to watch. I think he's awesome at football, and I hope he has an awesome year. And I'm rooting hard for him, even though, like, Miami, it feels weird to root for Miami, obviously. I don't want that to happen very often. But yeah, fun to watch Carson Beck do stuff. Does Notre Dame have anything to worry about after this sort of a game? Like, this is another one where, like, Miami has to come in and sort of make a statement. They lost the number 1 pick in the draft, right? And sure, they bring in a new quarterback, and things looked like they were looking up last year, but also they played like idiots a lot of the time. Their defense would give away games late, and they had to hang on by their fingernails. Like 3 or 4 times last year, and get the benefit of some referee help.
Talking about Miami, or
talking about Miami last year? Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were talking about Notre Dame.
They come into this game like kind of needing to prove something,
right.
Whereas Notre Dame comes into this game like, yeah, we've got a good defense. We don't know exactly what we have with our quarterback. We have returning maybe the best running back in college football. And yeah, we'll see where we go from here. They leave this game thinking everything is still on the table for us, in all likelihood.
Yeah, they're still in good shape. Yeah,
a fun game to watch, certainly. All right, I guess we can move on to the CIB fantasy quarterback recap here. It's a good way into a number of other things as well. Oh man, I thought I had a good week, but I'm getting my ass kicked.
You did have a good week.
I'm in dead last.
I know, but that's because of you didn't have any production in week 0.
Yeah, Abe was ahead by 40 points, and I was ahead by 20 points.
If you isolate for week 1, you were number 1. Not that we were isolating.
Yeah, Bob, you won the week.
No, I didn't. I'm losing by
No, this
30
week.
points.
If you go over to week 1, go to the far right, you won this week.
Oh, so you guys are up a little bit.
Because of week 0.
Because of last week.
You have an extra game.
You took off the first week, it's your fault.
That's true. But ultimately, I'll catch up, presumably.
Maybe. I don't know. Abe's Western Kentucky guy is really...
You know what?
No, I'm just saying that, like, the total number of games
right
will eventually equalize. I didn't realize that was the case.
What's interesting is that the high-profile names are actually not producing as much as some of the others. I mean, like, the Ohio State quarterback only had less than 10 points. Klubnik had... actually, he's the one that had less than 10 points. Like, a lot of the highly known players are not scoring as much as some random that I picked.
The high performance of the weekend, though, goes to Western Kentucky's, is it Maverick McIver or something like that?
McIver, yeah.
And Tisdale Jr. 94 points just for that quarterback room? Can that possibly be correct?
Yeah, if you combine the 2 weeks, because it was like 400 plus 1 week and almost 400 in the second week, or week 1.
That is amazing.
It was 399 passing yards, 6 passing touchdowns.
That'll do it.
Yeah. And because Abe still has TCU to go this week, so Abe will end up winning.
Oh, yeah,
unless things go really poorly for them.
Hopefully they don't.
That game is still 7-0 with 4.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. All right, so that's current standings. We can't even make anything official there.
With the expanded playoffs, like
now it's tied at 7.
Oh, nice. with the playoff format such as it is, week one losses you can survive no problem. For the fans, it was a great weekend of watching. I mean, there were some sloppy games here and there, but it was overall a fun weekend to watch. But I do wonder if teams will be disincentivized from starting off with a high game like this, like a 1-3 or whatever, 4-9. Like, have that built into like maybe 2 weeks into September, like play some easier opponents because of the transfer portal issue where teams are entirely different year to year. There's not a lot of continuity. So like maybe you want to get a week or two like Georgia's schedule, and then you get into like conference play. I don't know if in the future they're going to consider avoiding these first week play some really tough opponent thing, because what's the advantage?
The SEC is going to you're going to have a 9 SEC game schedule plus 1 Power 5 team.
Yeah.
So for the Georgias and Floridas who have our built-in rivalry week, Thanksgiving, like we won't ever schedule them.
Yeah.
But then it'll make the ones who don't have those built in schedule them probably.
Yeah.
Because you get a lot of money for these, not
true.
for the home and homes, but the stupid Atlanta and the Charlotte,
Yes.
Yeah.
Throw a lot of money at you.
Yeah.
Any of the we had 2 top 10 matchups this weekend, right? Between Texas and Ohio State, and then Notre Dame and Miami.
Oh, Clemson and LSU, I guess we didn't talk about it all. But
Clemson and LSU were the 3?
Yeah, it was.
Whatever.
Yeah, because that was. Because wasn't it 4 and 9, and then it was like
something
6
like
and 10 was the Notre Dame one.
Right. Do any of those losses tell you that one of those losing teams won't be in the playoff for sure? Like, can you rule anyone out at this point?
No.
Is Alabama, for example, even though this was not a top 10 matchup, is Alabama going to make the 12-team playoff this year based on what you saw?
I
Or
never count them
Can we predict
out.
anything?
I think it's too early to tell. There is some concern with this Alabama team as far as preparation, because like unless FSU turns out this like they memory hold last year and they're back to their like dominance like from 2 years ago, like if they're just back, I don't know what's going on there. It's interesting. All Florida teams seem to be good this year. We'll see how Florida does later on, but I think it's too soon to tell at this point. By the end, this time next month, like October 1st, we'll have a much better picture which direction it's going, and by then we'll have played Alabama, so we'll know where they're going.
So Clemson came into the year as, I think, the clear favorite to win the ACC and definitely be one of the playoff teams there. Now you're looking at Clemson losing to LSU in a closely fought game. Klubnik not looking particularly good and that whole offense not looking particularly effective, really. The ACC is kind of interesting now because is Miami good?
Yeah.
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech might be pretty good, and FSU, are they perhaps good? So who among the ACC do you think is, like, do we think that this is a one-off for Clemson and they should still be considered the favorite to win that conference this year? Or should we be looking at Miami as the most likely team to come out of the ACC?
I mean, Miami seems formidable. This is way too early, but 2 weeks from now, the Georgia Tech Clemson game, the early line is 9.5 Clemson. Like, so there's still a lot of
give me the Jackets and those points.
Yeah, a lot of support behind. I mean, I'm sure that's going to move by the time we pick them next week, but that's a pretty high number for a game.
You could probably bet now.
Yeah, I guess you can get ahead of it, but I mean I wouldn't think it would be that high, especially. I mean, it's not like Georgia Tech is like this hostile place to play in, but they're playing here in Atlanta on the road, noon game, but it doesn't matter. People still think highly of Clemson, and it should be noted that it's on the strength of their continuity, right? All the people that they're bringing back on offense and defense, the veteran leadership at quarterback. So, like, if Klubnik kind of peters out, then the whole thing falls apart. The entire argument for Clemson falls apart, so he has to play a little bit better going forward.
Miami, looking at their schedule, they have Bethune-Cookman and South Florida the next 2 weeks before they play Florida.
2 Florida schools.
Ooh, that should be a good
3
one.
in a row.
They actually have 5 or 4 in a row because they're going to play the Gators on September 20th, and then Miami plays Florida State on
Wow.
October 4th after a bye week.
That's
So
cool.
It's an interesting schedule for them. They have to play Florida, then they have to play Florida State. They play SMU in conference this year, and they play Virginia Tech towards the end of the year. I don't know. I think that schedule sets up pretty nicely for Miami. They don't run into Clemson this year unless they are in a championship game against them. But on the other hand, like, would it shock you to find out that they lost to the Gators and lost to Florida State?
Right.
Like, I don't know.
No.
It's a good
Everything's too
schedule.
new.
It's too early to say for sure.
Yeah.
All right, as we said, Jimmy Carter is 0-1. Lost that Alabama game. Nobody looked good in the pick'em this week. I think that checks out, though. You should not look good in week 1 of the pick'em because it's hard to know anything at all. And when you don't do any research ahead of time,
Right.
it's
Unless you're Lee Corso.
Yeah.
it's even harder.
Yeah.
Right, unless you're a demented 90-year-old man who cannot form coherent sentences.
If Lee Corso is demented, what is Jimmy Carter?
Yeah.
Dead.
You've been listening to Cast Iron Balls, a podcast with Bob and Abe. Lori's here too. You can find the show on Substack, brainiron.substack.com for more from us. The opening and closing themes of the show were composed by Mark Gillig, tetramermusic.com, Tetramer music.com for more from Mark. Abe, anything else in the world of sport strike your fancy over the weekend?
I was going to use this opportunity to shit on Jimmy Carter getting wrong that lock of the week, because he used his time to disparage me for no reason. So who's laughing now, Jimmy? But also, not all good news for Florida State. Their freshman linebacker got shot over the weekend after they won.
Jeez.
I don't know what he was doing in the Havana neighborhood of Florida, but here we are.
Getting shot.
Yeah, getting shot. So hopefully he's in stable condition, so he should be fine.
Oh, that's good.
Something that caught my eye since we last spake was Micah Parsons getting traded to the Green Bay
that's
Packers,
right.
or free to. I mean, I guess it was a trade, right? Because they are going to get draft picks.
And some defensive player, something Clark or whatever, some guy, some old guy.
Why did Jared Jones, the owner and GM of the Dallas Cowboys, trade the best defensive player in football to the Green Bay Packers?
It sounds like it's some sort of emotional decision because, apparently Jerry Jones has this habit of trying to cut out the representative for the players. So, he went to Micah Parsons to try to hammer out a deal, like one of these gentleman's agreement things. And Micah Parsons didn't care for it, and the whole thing kind of blew up. And he's like, "Well, fuck off."
I saw something somewhere where the deal that was alleged. I don't know if this came out of, presumably this had to have leaked from the Cowboys side of things. So maybe it's just Jerry covering his ass,
Right.
or somebody within the Cowboys organization trying to cover Jerry's ass. But the deal that was offered was significant, right?
Right.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't. He wasn't trying to shit on him. He wasn't disrespecting Micah Parsons.
Right.
He was willing to pay. And make him one of the highest paid players in the history of the NFL.
Right. But I think Micah Parsons' position was pretty straightforward. I'm good at football. I hired these people to be good at the other stuff, right? So, why are you going through me? Because, then I wouldn't know if you're taking advantage of me, right? It may have been, a comparable deal as he would have gotten
Right.
with the Packers, but, I don't know. What the fuck?
Right, and it's not like Micah can cut his agents out and then not have to pay
Right,
over the
yeah,
10%
so there's-
or
yeah.
15% or whatever.
like
He
you-
still is going to sign the deal and then have to pay his
Right.
agents whatever their fee is.
Right.
So why not have his people be in the room
Right.
for the deal-making process?
Right.
That's why he's paying them, after all.
And I mean, these player associations across different leagues are pretty toothless. But you would think they would have some sort of stringent rules about player representation. You can't have these billionaires trying to corner their star player to say, "Hey, we can work this out," over some Jameson. No, you have to go through the proper channels to make a deal.
Right. Not everybody is Lamar Jackson figuring
that's
it out
right.
for themselves.
Well, at this point, you think you can make do with ChatGPT? Although they'll probably fuck you over. That's a great deal. You should take it. And then
Yeah, no. The robot's tendency to just tell you that whatever you think is awesome
Yes.
is awesome is
That's true.
probably not great when you're doing a business negotiation.
that is true.
Robert, I think I'm getting fucked over here. Oh, no, you're not. You're so good and strong and smart. Sign on the line which is dotted.
Yeah.
Silly old boy. I don't
Okay,
know.
it's time to be
don't
done.
know why the robot sounds like that tonight. It is always a good time when the Cowboys fans in your life get to be just utterly mystified and sad about the decisions made by Jerry Jones, which is what happened when news of this trade came out, and my brother Andrew, who's a lifelong Cowboys fan, started texting in our bros sport chat. Andrew simply texted, "I hate Jerry Jones." That was the extent of it, which is understandable. Like, you trade away the best play, arguably like the only fun thing about that team, because like how excited can you possibly be to root for Dak Prescott one more year?
Right. By the way, I mean, this is not exactly the same, but interesting being a Dallas sports fan. Generational talent traded in the NBA.
Oh, the Luka
and then I mean,
comparison. That is funny.
Because Parsons is like a legitimately great player, right? So it's like weird that you're just shipping him off because of some, I don't know, dispute. You can't just hash it out. Just like, hey, let's work something out.
I wonder what it is about these superstars in the greater Dallas metro area having to leave. All right, Lori, anything else strike your sports fancy?
No.
No. All right. Well, I guess that's all we've got for you tonight, then, and we will talk to you next time.
Later.
Laundry Pissing Cat Appreciation Day.
I don't think that's a day.
It's every day around here. We celebrate our laundry basket pissing cats. This cat will now piss in any upturned plastic bin.
Yeah.
Really?
Empty of just empty or full of clothes. It's just too appealing. If you have 4 sides and are made of plastic, I'm a piss in it, is what the cat says.
It's one of the 2 cats?
Yeah, it's the male cat in particular. You can't overstate how much young male cats suck ass.
Oh, yeah?
And even the one, like, especially if they're not fixed.
The sweet one.
Like, if you go on Reddit and there'll be somebody who posts in a cat community about their young male cat being an absolute terror. Like doing violences, terrifying neighbors from outside, right? Like just stalking the neighborhood if they get out. Like just doing all sorts of horrible things. And the first reply will always be...
Just guys being dudes.
Yes, but you did not indicate whether or not he is fixed. Is he fixed? And the response is always, no, I hadn't considered that. It's like, listen, you idiot.
He's trying to fuck.
Yeah.
You must take his balls. It's the only way he'll be tolerable. And even once you take their balls, it's
Then
like
they're
years.
just assholes.
It's just years before they become chill and cool creatures.
And then they do.
And then, so you have a few years there in the middle before they lose all bladder control and just start.
Holden didn't do that.
Yeah, a lot of them do, though.
Yeah, but Holden didn't.
This is a known thing with 1/2 of the cats, and the cats are still a popular thing.
I thought because the last couple years of having cats for us was real rough in terms of
It's a lot of sickness and death.
the sickness and the death, sure, but also the fact that the cats, like Penny, truly could barely get in and out of a litter box. And I basically had, at the end, to just turn the floor into cardboard in the litter room because she was simply going in the general vicinity of the litter box and just letting loose. So she was still gesturing in the general direction.
She was trying.
But it had to be an 8x10 litter box in order for her to have any success with no up.
Yeah.
Like she didn't, not happening.
So
It basically, there had to be a walk-up beach of a litter box for her, essentially, for the last year. And it was just I just fucking hated it.
It's like the ADA, but for cats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The proceeding was created with 100% human content.